Hi, my name is Matt Bisson. I live in Ottawa. I did Duke and Altum in 2007-2008, which was the first time it ran in Ottawa. And this year is the third time that I'm a leader on the team, and there's a bit of a space in between when I was a participant and then when I was a leader.
Hi, my name is Chantal Léger, and I'm 32 years old. I'm originally from Cornwall, Ontario, and moved to Ottawa, so I'm currently on the leadership team for Duke and Altum.
I did Duke and Altum because I heard about it from a friend of mine who had done it the previous year in Montreal, and she had wonderful things to say about it, about how she was learning about how life worked, and it was helping her in her journey of faith as an adult. And I was at a point in my life where I knew a fair amount about the faith, and I prayed, but I didn't know what it meant to live my life with that impacting it in every aspect of my life. So this seemed like a good opportunity.
I did Duke and Altum about 5 years ago, and I was really just looking for something in my life that took me beyond the regular growing up as a Catholic. I needed something that did bring me deeper, and that was Duke and Altum's mandate. And I felt that it really helped me dive into serious questions that the world just wasn't getting at, or even my local community was too afraid to approach and dive into.
I think one of the big things Duke and Altum did is it helped me to become better at trying to identify my life how I wanted to be happy. It made me better at examining all the different aspects of my life and being aware of God's presence. And it also helped me in my prayer life to get used to how the Lord spoke. I went into Duke and Altum not with a very consistent prayer life, and that's something I wanted to fix. And so Duke and Altum, I committed to praying half an hour a day. And prayer is not all that intuitive sometimes. Sometimes you say, it sounds like God's not here, or I'm not sure. God, maybe he said this in my prayer life, but maybe that was just me. I don't know. And just that consistency over a long period of time with a spiritual companion was really helpful, because I was able to share with him the things that was going on in my life, and he was able to help me figure out, okay, yeah, that's probably God, or let's assume that's God for the time being, and then we'll see if the future proves that was right, or no, I don't think that's God. And so gaining a confidence in my prayer that the Lord would speak was dramatic in helping in my life of faith and in my happiness, because when you start to believe that you actually have a relationship with the Lord where he speaks in a palpable way, then you can have confidence he will act in your life.
Here at the Duke and Altum in Ottawa, we had a unique opportunity to learn about Ignatian discernment. For me, having a roadmap to the questions that were going on in my head and how to really dive into discernment was important to me. It can be very confusing when you have a lot of questions in your mind, but just being able to break it down into smaller things and focus on just like an inner motion and just recognizing what am I actually feeling was a huge step towards being able to discern something really big. Kind of like when we give up something at Lent, we give up something that's difficult so that later on we can give up the things that are really difficult. I found that Duke and Altum helped me to discern the small things, so when the big things happened, it made me more prepared.
So Duke and Altum has lots of different elements and things that go on, but I think the most challenging thing was simply the spiritual growth. Because when we decide we want to do it spiritually, and when we commit to it, we start to encounter times of difficulty. It can either be through the devil, who doesn't want us to grow closer to the Lord, or it can be the own pain and difficulties in our life that we haven't had to face yet. And so when I was participating in my Duke and Altum year, there were some months that were incredibly joyful beyond what I had experienced previous in my life. But there were also some months that were incredibly sorrowful, difficult, confused. And I think that was the biggest difficulty. That was the biggest trial that I had, was starting to make peace with the difficulties. Because I think without living an active life of faith and without really seeking the Lord out, one thing I did was I numbed myself to whatever was going on. I just dismissed it, or if I was having a hard time, I distract myself with something else. But when I was actually seeking the Lord, I couldn't distract myself anymore, which is why the joys were more substantial, but the trials also, I couldn't hide from them, and so I had to go through that difficulty.
I think just encountering my own self at a deeper level for the first time, even though I was a very practicing Catholic when I did Duke and Altum, and I had formation from various things like Net Ministries of Canada or Catholic Christian Outreach, and had been involved in ministry in the church. Was a youth minister myself at a parish at the time. There was just a level of internal depth that it brought me to that was really challenging because I had to encounter myself. Yeah.
The funny thing with Duke and Altum is sometimes it's hard for me to see how it's affected my life, because unlike a one-time event where there's a before and there's an after and you can see a very clear change, Duke and Altum was woven into my life in the 8 months when I participated, and now as a leader it's been woven into my life for many years now. It's hard to separate out what the change Duke and Altum made was, but you can see it. You can see how habits can be formed. When I'm meeting with other Dukers once a month, we start to get into a rhythm of examining our lives and being challenged with difficult things, and it becomes more natural to say, I should change that about my life. Okay, I'm going to try. When you start doing it over and over again, it becomes less and less difficult and less surprising. And so I think, but I can hypothesize how it's changed, even though it's not obvious. I've been encouraged to pray more. That was a big thing for me in my Duke year. I wanted to commit to that. I had more confidence in seeing the Lord in my life, and I started to grow more patient, because when you have that confidence and the Lord moves in His own time, when you get more used to that, you can be more patient. And I also learned to be more honest with myself, and in that honesty I learned to stop hiding from things as well. The big thing I learned was that it was okay to not be okay. I can see areas of my life that beforehand I would have even denied there was a problem with them. And then when I did say, oh, that's not great, that's painful, or that's not good, that's not healthy, I just ignore it because it'd be too difficult to deal with. I learned to say, okay, this is where I am, and this part of my life is not what I want it to be, or it's hurting me, or it needs to grow. But today, where I am right now, I'm okay with that, and I trust the Lord will do what He wants. I think that was a big thing, learning to no longer be afraid of the things that, to be honest, they're worth being afraid of if you don't have the Lord to help you through them.
I know very definitively that I was afraid of discerning a vocation that might not be marriage. I was afraid of really diving into discerning religious life or the single life, and on my year of Duke and Altum as a participant, I was able to really fully discern religious life. And in that discernment, it was a no. But that still left me wondering, where my vocation was. And although Duke and Altum isn't necessarily a vocational discernment program, it really did lend itself to giving me some great skills to. Now I'm currently discerning whether I'm called to single life or the consecrated single life. And I find having a community to frame those questions in, and an opportunity just to stop and pause each month to make sure that I'm focusing on that is really helping in that discernment. Thank you.
Anyone would come and follow me. Know the truth will make you free. Give and you receive. Trust me and believe. Come and follow me. Give and you receive. Trust me and believe. Come and follow me. Give and you receive. Trust me and believe. Come and follow me.